Welcome to Thoughts on Thursday. It's Reverend Miller.
And Stuart Holmes.
As we continue in the Easter season and we continue our Thoughts on Thursday where we explore the behind the scenes of worship. And we are for worship right now going through the Heidelberg Catechism for our Confession of Faith. And this coming week we're going to look at question and answer number 21. But even before we start Thoughts on Thursday, Stuart and I are talking about worship. We're talking about Thoughts on Thursday. And we were just talking about what goes behind planning worship. And what struck me is that when we plan worship, we do plan it for ourselves. And we plan it for other people. We're doing both of those things. And if you look at the elements within the worship service, there are several different ones that might connect to different people. And so this idea of using the Heidelberg Catechism question and answer as a confession of faith, that's a very, it's theological, but it's analytical. It's words written in a very analytical way, a question then an answer. And not every brain works that way.
Yeah.
But for those who love to parse and break something down, this is the perfect thing. But we have other elements for those who might come to faith more through feeling than thinking. And, you know, as we do Thoughts on Thursday, we're exploring those different things. And we were also talking that there is an art form, or we're using art within worship. Not only music, but you could have poems. I don't know. I mean, I would like to think my sermons are artful on occasion, you know. So you're using different genres of art, the spoken word, song, instrumental, and you know that's what we're doing. So Stuart's got some thoughts, and I think they're good ones. But first,
You haven't heard them yet.
Oh, well, I'll grade them afterwards. So 21, this is one of my favorite question and answers in the Heidelberg Catechism. It says, "What is true faith?" And the answer is, true faith is not only a knowledge and conviction that everything God reveals in His Word is true, it is also a deep-rooted assurance created in me by the Holy Spirit through the gospel, that out of shared grace earned for us by Christ, not only others, but I too, have had my sins forgiven, have been made forever right with God, and have been granted salvation. And just to make sure you know we're thoughtful people, listen to that question just speaks to what we were talking about, the art form of worship. There is a knowledge and conviction, but there's also a deep-rooted assurance. That's what faith is. It's not just a thinking, it's not just rationality. It is that, but it is also a deep-rooted conviction. And I would say as a pastor, you often see that at a funeral, that those who have lived a life in faith and have nurtured that have that assurance, and you see that within a funeral. And that's what we're looking at. True faith, it's a knowledge, yes, it is conviction, but it is also a deep-rooted assurance. And so those are my thoughts. I probably will chime in a little bit with Stuart too, but what do you have for us, Stuart?
So you know, when Rob was talking a couple weeks ago about research, the research that he does in sermons, it's, I hope, obvious that I also do some research to see if I can match lectionary with organ music. I don't have the luxury of pieces of music that go with every single piece of the Bible, which more or less restricts us, but or me. But when I'm going through the prelude and the postlude, I'm looking for matching the hymn text or finding something in the liturgy that works. And there are, of course, those times that it doesn't come together. There isn't something specific, and that's when I revert to the masters. Because I'm a classically trained musician, I revert to Mendelssohn, in the organ case, Franck, and of course always Bach. Although it's interesting, Bach has a lot of heady stuff going on within his pieces, how he's crafted them together. But for me, and I'm sure for others, it also evokes that feeling level. And immediately I think of the Passion according to St. John, the oratorios that are so beautiful. I wanted to talk a little bit about the music that I've selected for this week. You heard Amazing Grace as we started this video. And the final one is just a simple Bach piece, which I'll play at the end of the video, which I chose because it didn't require a lot of prep. Sometimes I work for a week, as in this week, but last week's music, I must have worked 3 weeks on that. Last week I played the music of Jean Alain. And I knew that Jean Alain, being a 20th century contemporary composer, tended to be a little bit controversial with some people who are expecting some beautiful romantic piece. And such
Or
was the
Amazing
case.
Grace.
Or Amazing Grace,
Which
right.
you're giving.
So that's why I've kind of said, okay, they had Alain last week, and they're going to have some beautiful Amazing Grace and some Bach this week, much lower key. But I wanted to kind of talk about that feeling level, which you talked about, and your thoughts about art, music, and worship is an art form is so true. Alain, in writing the pieces that I played last week, wrote inscriptions right into his music, and they were basically poems, which helped explain his thinking. And I was just totally moved and absorbed in it. Even though I prefer Bach to most of the composers, it struck a chord last week. And that is so important with musicians and preachers, is that we find something in here, intrinsic, that is fed. I want to make my last comments about last week. Even though it was controversial and difficult to hear, I had 3 comments, and I think they're worthy of repeating them. One of the comments was, it's depressing. That's a feeling. You talk about that. They never say that about your sermons, but
I've heard it. I have. Don't worry.
Don't worry about that. And another one was, that piece was really thought-provoking. And I thought, okay, there's the head level. I wonder what the feeling was behind that. At the point that they said it, I didn't think to follow up on that, which would have been an interesting follow-up. And the third comment that I received last week was, thank you for the note that you put in the bulletin about this music. It helped me really understand and get something out of it, other than the fact that it's a bunch of notes. Mm-hmm. And with last week's music, it was just chord clusters at times, and sometimes we equate that with the Passion. In fact, I'm thinking maybe I'll play that next Lent. I don't know, but that's what I wanted to say today. This sitting down and being fed by the music for me is so important, and sometimes I'm going to hit person A, B, and C, and the next week I'm going to hit person D, E, and F, and so forth.
Well, and worship is an interesting thing. We might think it's just a simple thing. You come, you do it, but it's supposed to do many things, right? And it's supposed to convict us and send us out back into the world to bring God's grace and love. And sometimes the idea of, oh, I want to be fed, I don't always like that image. But if we think about it, and I even mentioned it in my sermon last week, that, I love chocolate, and that's fed, and that's a great thing. I do not care for broccoli. But once my kids came, I started eating broccoli, because you got to eat everything, and I can't make them eat it if I'm not eating it. And so broccoli might not be my favorite taste, but broccoli is a superfood, they say, for your body. And so as we come to worship, you might not particularly care for a prelude or a postlude or even that sermon that day. It doesn't mean it's not food for your soul, right? And that's the thing, we balance. Sometimes we want all sweet things, and if you listen to your mom, you can't eat all sweet things.
Boy.
You need all kinds of different things. But a whole meal without a dessert is also depressing, if you ask me. So that's, as we look at worship, that's what we're trying to balance all those things out. Trying to do quite a few different things for many different people. And that's kind of the point, too.
And it's a challenge for us, which we like.
It's a fun challenge, really.
Yeah,
I mean, it is. For you to take 3 weeks on a piece is a challenge, and that's a good thing. And sometimes you have to do Amazing Grace that you don't have to spend 3 weeks on.
Right.
So that's a lot of thoughts today. And
heavy thoughts today.
we'll hope to see you on Sunday for another Sunday in the season of Easter. And either we'll see you in person here at 660 East Glen Avenue at 10 a.m. or we'll see you on YouTube or Facebook. Thanks and have a great day.
Take care. Here's the Bach.